My name is Marsha Izumi. I'm from Pasadena, California.
Hola, soy Anton Castellanos Usigli, originalmente México.
Robert A. Marchman from Maplewood, New Jersey.
Palm Desert, California.
Baltimore, Maryland.
Berkeley, California.
They come to PFLAG in crisis. Their life is falling apart because their child is coming out.
I initially got involved in PFLAG because my son was withdrawn, depressed, and suicidal, and I didn't know where to turn.
She comes home and says, "Mom, I'm transgender." And I said, "Okay, are you sure?" I said, "You know, we're gonna move forward."
How hard it must have been to navigate a gender journey with a teenager.
Well, Mom, it may not be a big deal to you, but it's a big deal to me. And that was one of those moments that I will never forget.
I was aware of the painful experience of many LGBTQ people of color, and that was something that was frankly painful for me.
We had to reconcile having our new normal, which was our gay son, with what anti-gay messages were coming out of the Southern Baptist Convention at that time.
My child was the first one to transition in our public schools, and she was pretty badly bullied. So having some friends in the PFLAG community really meant the world to my family.
La primera vez que escuché PFLAG fue a través de un mentor en la Ciudad de México que me enseñó el poder que los papás de personas LGBTQ pueden tener como activistas por la igualdad y por los derechos humanos.
PFLAG is on a journey of not only educating itself, but educating others so that we can be in a place where we can gain equality for the entire LGBT community.
As an educational resource, PFLAG is the only thing that's out there for families like mine.
I want to bring the message to communities of color and Black and brown communities that this is an organization, that PFLAG is an organization that can support the community.
All the people that spend all the time and all the hours learning, training, sharing, telling their stories, like literally without the human connection, none of this would be possible and none of this would work.
We all seek to belong to something that is greater than ourselves. And PFLAG has given me that opportunity.
By being out and proud and an advocate, I could actually be potentially a role model or a sounding board or somehow just make some kid's life a little bit easier.
As a PFLAG dad, a proud PFLAG dad, to be an advocate for my son, who I love dearly, is something that's very special and important to me.
It's the screen test for anybody who's dating anybody in our family. It's like, you can't be a part of our family unless you pass the PFLAG test.
PFLAG made it possible for my family to stay together.
So no matter what other people say, no matter what you may hear from those other people and other places that say something different, don't even give them a second thought because we love you just as you are.
Baby, you my child, I love you, and you are walking in those shoes. I'm just here to love and support you, and this is how we will move forward. So.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Something to Talk About Live. My name is Liz Owen. I'm the Director of Communications at PFLAG National. So glad to have everybody with us today. We are broadcasting live on Facebook and YouTube, and we'll be taking comments and questions later. Right now, I would like to bring in my friend and colleague, PFLAG National's Director of Learning and Inclusion, Jean Marie Navetta.
Hello, Liz, and hello, everybody. I have scheduled over my house in Palm Springs, California at this very time as we start. So apologies for that, and welcome to Street for Equality's Something to Talk About Live. Sorry, it's getting to be a really long week, which started apparently 300 days ago. So I want to introduce my colleagues who are going to save me from my own mistakes here. First, I want to introduce Jamie Hinkle and also Brooke Smith. And I am going to ask them to do a very quick introduction of themselves, and then we will get the conversation going. So Jamie and then Brooke want to do a super quick introduction, and then we'll get moving.
Sure. Hi, everybody. This is Jamie Hinkle. I am the Learning and Inclusion Manager at PFLAG National. My pronouns are she and her, and I attended Virginia Commonwealth University in Richmond, Virginia.
Hi, everyone. My name is Brooke Smith, and I'm a Chapter Engagement Manager. I work specifically on our website and database. I use she, her pronouns, and I went to the University of Kansas for college.
Thank you both. I should add, I went to Montclair State University in New Jersey for college. And the reason we're mentioning our colleges today is because of the article that we are discussing. So this week's article, you can download it on the Straight for Equality website, is entitled Queer Pen Pal Project to Keep Students Connected During the Pandemic. It was in the Minnesota Daily and it was written by Farrah, Mina. We really loved this article when we came across it because it just brought up a whole lot of different pieces of the conversation about the college experience, and particularly the college experience that is happening right now for young people who are LGBTQ identified. And just to give you kind of a very quick overview of what the article is about, I'm just going to read the lead for you, which is the University of Minnesota's Gender and Sexuality Center for Queer and Trans Life joined a pen pal project to keep queer students connected in a period of social distancing and stay-at-home orders. So it is all about this project that has started and the importance of connection. And that's actually what we want to talk about today. So if you are playing along at home and you have downloaded the article, you actually can use these questions for your own conversation. So let's get started. So our first question, Jamie and Brooke, is thinking back to when you were in college, would you have taken advantage of a program like this Queer Pen Pals project? Why or why not? And would you be likely to sign up for one now? And whoever wants to take it first should go.
So I can go first. And I have to admit, when I was an undergraduate, it is very unlikely that I would have participated in a program like this, but not because there's not value to it. I was just like super into myself. And I don't know that I was looking for that kind of connection. And there's a lot of privilege in that. And I recognize that. I went to a large urban university. I had a very welcome, open, affirming family that had sort of instilled allyship in me from a very young age. For better or for worse, my parents had told me multiple times, you know, if at any point you do come out, that'll be okay with us. So I had this support network that I don't know I would have gone to look for a resource like this at the time. I also had a really diverse group of friends, and you know that was true in my college town as well as where I grew up right outside of Washington, D.C. So there was a lot of privilege in thinking back and knowing that I wouldn't have done something like this. Now, with that said, if I were given the opportunity today, I think I absolutely would. And the reason that I think that is because I went to the mailbox on Sunday and there was a card from my parents for Easter, and it had a little bit of cash in it. They told me to go get myself a chocolate bunny or something, but it felt really nice to open the mailbox and get something that wasn't like a coupon book or a bill. And it put a huge smile on my face, and it made me remember to call my mom and dad. And so I think that if given the opportunity to provide that smile on somebody else's face, I definitely would participate today.
Great. Thank you. Brooke.
Yeah, I would have to say I probably would have participated. And I think there's a couple reasons for that. I was kind of doing that already. I was friends with some people at other colleges who I had met through some programs at school, and you know, we were getting to know each other, and it was sort of the beginning of email, and we just had these long emails back and forth. But it was really like, it was a time that I found that I was really finding myself, and having a person who was in my life but not in my daily life to talk to was a really beneficial thing for me. Also, I am an introvert, and so doing something that is sort of email based or pen pal based, where I can think about what I want to say. I can, you know, I wrote down all my notes for today because I had to think about everything I wanted to say before I said it. So that's just sort of who I am, and it just kind of helps me process. So I feel like at a time where I was growing so much as a person, that was really beneficial. So I probably would I would get involved with this if it were presented to me today.
Everybody should know you have 3 introverts speaking right now, so this is a big step for all of us. We only play extroverts when the camera is running.
Right.
So thank you. And as we start to think about it and we think about the context now, I think that brings up some really interesting points in that, last week we spent time talking about creating social spaces online for people using tools like Zoom and similar things to that. But those aren't for everybody. As somebody who is also an introvert, I find like big meetings really intimidating. And even if it's all my friends, everybody's yapping and it's just a bit much. Whereas like this one-on-one connection and where you can kind of go in depth, it means a lot. And I certainly didn't have this because I went to school in 1800 before we even had electricity going. But when I think about, I sort of was at the beginning of that campus email thing too. And the emails that I exchanged with people who were like me, were really long. And I was super lucky to have those people, but not everybody's that lucky. And a lot of it just happened to be, where I was and what was going on. So let's take on the second question, which is, in your opinion, why is a program like this necessary for LGBTQ students who are unable to access their college campuses? And what kind of specific needs do you think these kind of projects could actually meet? Who's going first?
I can start it again. I almost got started and realized I'd muted my mic for a second. This is our reality these days. But so I think that one of the reasons that a program like this is necessary, and why you saw multiple campuses and up to 100 people signing up to participate, is for a lot of people, college is, the university is the first time that they're away from home. They're finding themselves, they're finding their community, they're finding their chosen family. And for LGBTQ youth specifically, it's sometimes the first place that they can truly be themselves. They can be out. They can not worry about what the next door neighbor or somebody at the grocery store is going to think. And so I think that it's really jarring to go from an environment where you really are finding yourself and growing into who you are as an adult, to suddenly be back in perhaps a conservative area or a more rural area, or a place that is different from your college campus. And so that is a big thing for me. And I know one of the other things that we talked about as we were prepping for this is that as you're growing into yourself, as you're thinking about sort of who you're going to be, you also start to develop habits. And I think that having somebody to talk to about, how your habits have changed since when you lived with your family could be really useful.
Yeah. What you're not telling is Jamie tells great stories about living alone and then having people visit, and the little things that suddenly you notice that you've never noticed before, including my favorite, which is how a shower curtain gets opened. Brooke, what do you think about this question? Do you think this is necessary, and what needs to happen as part of it?
Yeah, I was thinking about just thinking about what students are going through right now. We have a couple of interns who are working with PFLAG this semester, and all of a sudden they had to leave. They, either they were on spring break and then couldn't go back to their dorm, or, they were just told they had to get out and they only had like 48 hours. I can just imagine just how jarring that is. Like, you're in college and you're becoming an adult on your own. And like Jamie said, you're developing your own thoughts about things. And then you go back home and you're, even if you're in a supportive environment, if this happened to me when I was in college, I would have been with my little sister. We would, our family would have had the same family dynamic as we were having when we were growing up. And it's not necessarily where you might be having experiences where you want to talk to other people, or you want to just share what those experiences are, even if they're little. And I know for myself, I kind of revert back to being a child. Even now when I go home, I'm like, tell my dad where I'm going, and I tell him when I'm gonna be back, and I kind of feel like I should check in with him, and I have no need to do that. It's not as though he's asking me to do that. It's just a thing that happens. So I can see where being in college right now, it would just be such a like overwhelming experience.
Yeah, and one of the things that while we were starting to prep for this, all of us were talking about is how much our identity is tied to places that we typically find ourselves and things that we typically do. And even as adults, I think a lot of people everyone is really grappling with what life looks like when you're not going to the same place every day. And the parts of you that are associated with that trip of going to work or wherever you're going during the day are taken away. It shifts how you feel about yourself, how you feel about the people around you, how you're processing conflict and difficulties that you might be encountering. And right now there's a whole lot of that going on. So I think programs like this are really important so that way we can make sure that we're bringing people together who are going through that same thing, but also some of whom may have some solutions for others that can then get shared, and that kind of really specialized support. Because what it looks like to go through this as a college student with a very supportive family versus a family that is not supportive at all is radically different. And we need to make sure that those students who are going through similar experiences are actually able to find each other and are actually able to coach each other and support each other, especially at this time where you just can't leave and go somewhere else for the most part.
Yeah,
so
and
it really shifts stuff.
That was one of the really neat things that I thought about this particular program and the way that they laid it out is that, the Pen Pal project was going to pair people up, but it was going to give those two people then the opportunity to decide, are we going to talk on the phone? Are we going to exchange emails? Do we want to write letters and put them in the mail? And I think that is so neat. Video conferencing was also an option, but the three of us introverts are like, no, thank you. But I think that's really neat, because when you think about a young person who is potentially, at home with a family that is not accepting of their identity as someone who is LGBTQ, they could say, I'd love a letter, but don't put a rainbow on the outside of the envelope. Or, if you call, don't say you're with the Pen Pal project, just, whoever picks up, say this is Jamie. I think that is really neat, because it gives people the flexibility that they need depending on the situation that they're in.
And it puts them in control again. And right now we are all going through a big loss of control. I mean, even those basic things like going outside now are kind of regulated. So it's a loss of control. And even those little tiny things that we can do sort of put people back in the driver's seat. So let's take on that third question, which is other programs. So we're talking very specifically about a program for college students, but have you heard about any other programs that are similar to this or sort of in that space? And like I said, we talked about this last week on this program, and we're kind of taking it a step further. Have you heard of other programs that are really, working on developing those one-on-one connections, or what is going on in your own world that allows us to do this? So, Jamie, are you going first? Brooke, are you going?
Yeah. Let's stay with the order. And so one of the programs I'm going to give a shout out to again, because I just think it is so neat, is Sage Connect, which would allow volunteers to connect with an LGBTQ person who is older and maybe doesn't have that connection to community, is feeling like they're isolated. So I'm going to give them a shout out. The other thing that this made me think of, and this article really got me thinking about, was at the PFLAG National Convention over the past couple of cycles, we have hosted a program called PFLAG Gives Back. And in 2017 in Portland and in 2019 in Kansas City, one of the volunteer projects that our members who had come to the convention came together to do was create these notes of encouragement, or we called them love notes in the documentation that we did, for LGBTQ youth that were accessing the services of a community group. Here in Portland, it was New Avenues for Youth. They work with young people who are experiencing homelessness. And so we were able to create these cards from PFLAG moms and dads that were then delivered to this organization and handed to LGBTQ plus youth experiencing homelessness. And the feedback that I got when those were delivered was just so positive. And because of how great the PFLAG Gives Back experience has been, we actually created a toolkit to help people that are interested in doing something similar in their communities or with their PFLAG chapter. It's available online. So if you were interested in learning about how you might be able to, do at least one half of a pen pal project, we have resources that can help you. So wanted to throw that out there.
Thank you. And again, if you are looking to find that guide and you want to get the guide to doing community service projects, it's called PFLAG Gives Back. So if you go to pflag.org and in the search, click on PFLAG Gives Back, you'll be able to download the resource that Jamie's talking about. Brooke, other programs, things that have popped into your head?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I think that the program of doing cards is something that chapters can do. You know, this is something that you can do at home. You can send them to a local youth serving organization, which is, I don't know, I think getting a card is kind of the best thing ever. I
agree.
So it's, you know, I'm all for that. But yeah, I was thinking about, it's sort of new program called Q Chat Space, and it's an app that youth can download and talk one-on-one with each other, and they have some facilitated groups, and I think it's sort of a relatively new thing. It didn't come about because of the pandemic, but I think it's a great resource for right now. And then I was just reading about this fan fiction. It's like a Harry Styles fan fiction contest. It's called Larry Fic Fest. You can find it on Tumblr. I really don't know how it works, but I thought it was kind of cool and different. So I would say Google that, and you can find it when you Google it. I just think it looks like a cool thing to do.
In a PFLAG event that the word Harry Styles fan fiction actually appears, and I am so proud that we are the ones who are bringing it up. I feel like we put this organization forward today. That's why Liz is coming on to stop me. You're on mute, Liz. You're on mute.
Oh, no, you're on mute.
Did someone say Harry Styles fan fiction?
I heard Harry Styles fan fiction.
You heard that right.
We actually had to bring the communications director in to stop this before we go any further. So I just want to quickly say one thing. I love the things that Brooke and Jamie have both mentioned. I definitely want to bring everybody's attention to the fact that lots of PFLAG chapters have their support group meetings online. So PFLAG Connects can also connect you to your PFLAG chapter that is now doing support services online. So make sure you're visiting pflag.org or checking in with your local chapter to find out if that's available for you. And Liz, we have about 7 minutes left. Yes, Jamie.
One more thing I did want to mention, because we would be remiss not to, is that when we're thinking about organizations that are providing this type of one-on-one support, there also are a number of great crisis intervention resources. Yeah. So if you are talking to, working with, emailing with, having conversation with, on a Zoom meeting with somebody who seems to be in crisis, connect them with the Trevor Project, connect them with the LGBTQ talk line, connect them with those resources where they can get that one-on-one crisis intervention support, because there are lots of ways to do that. You can call, you can email, you can text, and I just think we'd be remiss not to mention that.
And Liz just put it up. It's pflag.org/hotlines, and that will give you a connection to all of those things. There are some really great ones. We also love Gender Spectrum, does some really good social groups as well as learning groups too. Liz, what are we hearing from people?
We have a lot of comments. I'm going to scroll back up. First of all, I love that Jamie would like to be pen pals with all of you. You're getting some love. We got a comment from Jamel, who thinks these are all really good points. And with that, true, with everyone living on your devices right now, getting something manual or via letter, handling the letters carefully, lots of information about that for folks who are nervous about that. You know, there's good guidelines and recommendations on handling mail right now, so you can feel comforted knowing that you're doing it safely. And wave to your mail person from your window as they drop them off.
While wearing pants, please.
From at least 6 feet away.
Buy stamps.
Buy stamps.
Buy
yes. Please, this is a great shout out. It's a great time to remind people that the post office is having some challenges. I'm sure you've read it. We need our postal system. This is a great sending mail and buying stamps. Great way to support them right now for all kinds of reasons.
Let's make PFLAG safe postal service.
Then we had a question here. Oh, we actually had someone from PFLAG Peoria starting their own project, sending notes to people going through gender confirmation surgery. Love notes.
Thank you, PFLAG Peoria.
That's awesome.
That's what a great resource and a great idea, and something that people, whether they're part of a PFLAG chapter or not part of a PFLAG chapter, can do. That's such a great. That's such a great idea. Thank you for that. We also had. Sorry, I'm scrolling up through the many. We had a question. Oh, here's a question. We had any advice for LGBTQ plus college students who are home now and maybe feeling isolated, which really kind of goes to the heart of the project you're talking about.
I think, sort of my first thing is find one of these projects that resonates with you. I mean, get on, as we say, get on the Google and find out what's available there. A lot of campuses, there are over 200 campuses in the United States that have LGBTQ centers that are staffed on campus. So I'm sure this is happening in a lot of other places. I would say check your campus, check other local campuses. Definitely look into some groups that are working with youth. Check in with your local PFLAG chapter and see if there's anything available for you, including one-on-one support, because sometimes the best thing that you need is just somebody to talk to. And having somebody in your community would be really good. And the way you can find your PFLAG chapter, of course, pflag.org/find. But Brooke and Jamie, do you have any suggestions on that?
Yeah, I would say even doing things like a game night with your friends. I did one last night. We played code names online. It's not something we'd ever done before, but it was super fun. So I think there's lots of, I'm playing bridge tonight with my dad. So I'm very excited about that. But there's lots of programs out there where you can do online games that you would normally do in person. I think that might be a good way, kind of a fun way to keep connected with your friends or maybe new people. And get out of your house for a little bit.
and something that I would say, and I think we touched on this last week, Seychelle and Sean touched on this a little bit, but I think that it's also important to remember that you are not only your sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression. So if you're feeling isolated, think about those other parts that make up who you are, whether it's One Direction fan fiction, or it's Doctor Who, or it's a game night, or it's, if it's cat videos on YouTube. Think about those other things that make you happy and bring you joy, and try and find connection through those as well. Because I think that's important. And I think it's something that we recommend in a lot of the work that we do, that self-care is important, and finding the things that bring you joy is a good way to lessen that isolation.
Great. Liz, we have about 2 minutes. We got to wrap up. Other comments and questions?
You know what? The rest are just a lot of really lovely thanks from folks. Thank you from our friends at NEAT. So thank you for that. We think NEAT is neat. So thank you for that. We really appreciate it so much. And I'm going to leave it off on this. This made me laugh. I don't know how it works is the best motivator.
This is true.
It's a good project to have.
This is totally true.
Right.
And I am going to quickly do my one last speed round question, because we have about 2 minutes left and I want to do this. So for my colleagues who are on, what is the thing that is getting you through this week? What is the one thing that is getting you through this week? Go.
Anything related to musical theater. Thank you, Seth Rudetsky. Got to shout you out.
Next.
All of the Bon Appetit Test Kitchen videos.
Excellent. Henkel, what's getting you through this week?
An ongoing meme and GIF only conversation with my brother.
Oh, that's awesome. Getting me through this week is the powder that is covering my roots that you can't see right now, but next week we may actually be in crisis because there's not enough powder in America right now. So I'm going to wrap us up for today. Jamie, Brooke, Liz, thank you so much once again. I was joking that this isn't just the one time a week that I actually put real clothes on, but it's the one time a week that I really enjoy getting to talk to people, because as somebody who's a trainer who hasn't left the house in a long time, it's kind of weird, everyone. Next week is really super exciting, and I can't wait, and I'm kind of nervous too. I really would love everybody to join us and bring a friend along. We are so lucky. We are going to have Reverend Troy Perry, who is the founder of the Metropolitan Community Church, and Reverend Jay Baker of Revolution Church, who are incredible activists in the faith area and really helping us create more inclusive faith communities. They are going to be joining me to have a conversation about what's happening right now when it comes particularly to Christianity and LGBTQ identities. So please mark your calendars, same bad time, same bad channel, next week, Thursday, 4:30 Eastern, 1:30 Pacific. And with that, I want to thank everybody for joining us. This is really fantastic, and getting to read your comments and knowing we're communicating with people feels good, and connection feels good. So we've been signing off more or less the same way, but I am going to actually use a Doctor Who quote right now because I'm a giant nerd and I think it's perfect for where we are right now, which is, I encourage you to run fast, to laugh hard, and to be kind. That's how we're going to get through this stuff. We're going to get through it together. My name is Jean Marie Nevada. I am really happy for you to give us this time together. I'm looking forward to talking to more people next week. So thank you for supporting PFLAG, and we'll see you next week on Something to Talk About.